Hey everyone, back to Block of the Month, the AMOSTRA wrap, and this is our first video class, so times are changing during these crazy times, so we have to do what we got to do so we can keep moving forward. Most of you have probably finished your square, and as you were instructed to bind off all four sides, okay? What we're going to do next is, while I'm just going to give you some explanation, even though you don't have pattern notes in front of you yet, because this is more about mitered squares, and that's what we're going to do here. You had, at the end of pattern C, it said that you had a total of 336 stitches. If you divide that by four sides of your square, then that comes to 21 stitches, 84 stitches per side. Now, we're going to break up, we're going to pick a side. It doesn't matter which side of your square you pick, but you get to pick one. And we're going to divvy those stitches up into 21 stitches along one edge. So what I did is I went in here and I went from the corner stitch, and the corner stitch is that stitch that has been between the stitch markers all this time, and I counted 21 stitches over and I placed a stitch marker. And then I counted 21 stitches over from there, placed a marker, 21 stitches there, placed a marker, and then I went ahead and counted from here to my next corner, and I have 21 stitches. So this will be easier for you to break up your sections if you have it sectioned out. So take a minute and do that, and take your time counting, and hopefully when you finished your square you knew that your count was right, so everybody has 336 stitches. Okay, so what it's going to tell you in the mitered square area, which I'll talk about more when I hand out notes. I'm going to email notes to everybody. But your mitered square is going to have 37 stitches. And the way that that's going to work is you're going to take your first section and your needle, and you are going to cast on 18 stitches onto your needle, just like this. I use long tail. I think that works the best for me. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to my corner, and I'm going to take the first stitch in my corner right here, and I'm going to start picking up stitches. Let me get my yarn out of my way. I've got a bit of a tail, so I'm actually going to use the tail and my working yarn. So I've gone into the first stitch, and I'm going to bring that through. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to go into the second stitch, and I'm going to do this all the way along. Okay, and what you want is 18 stitches, but let me back up. The first stitch that I'm counting, this very first, you had 18 on your needle. This one is your 19th, which will also be your corner. So you count 19, and then go ahead and pick up 18 stitches more. So you're breaking it down to 18, 1, and 18, and I'll show you why. So you're just going to go along and you're going to pick up those stitches, and eventually you can let go of your tail, you know, when you feel like you've worked it in enough. And I want to show you, if I can, in picking up stitches. If you have not picked up stitches before on anything, you can go on YouTube and look, or you can see if this is enough explanation. I'm going to let go of my tail now, so I'm not having to worry about bringing that in. Well, it's small needles and small yarn, so take your time and have good light. The other thing I want to show you, I'm sorry I was getting off, is these stitches are like little braids, and I want you to see that I'm not going into the front of the braid right here. I'm actually going into the middle of the braid and into the stitch behind it, or the strand behind it. So I'm always going under 2 strands, but the 2 to the back. And the reason is it gives me this nice little level line up front, and it makes it look like a nice straight line. So I'm just going all the way across like that. I'm going into the back 2 strands. If you're only under 1 strand, go back out and go after 2 again, because it's more supported when you get underneath 2 strands of yarn, just so you know. Again, take your time. It's little work. I know nobody likes picking up stitches. I just think if you do it enough, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go all the way across. I'm going to go all the way across, and I'm not going to talk too much about it. Let me just think about this. So I apologize. I'm all trying to look in the camera as I pick this up, and that's not helping at all. So I'm just going to look at what I'm doing without the camera and go across. Okay, so anyway, my point here is that you're going to go all the way across. You're going to have a line here and there, a line here, and then this line that's going to form up, and it's going to form your square on this side. And I've done it on the other side, so let me just show it to you over here. So you can see, here was my 18 stitches that I put on my needle. My 19th stitch was in the corner, and my other 18 stitches were what I picked up right here, okay? And then I follow the mitered square pattern that will be more described to you. I'll be sending that to you, but essentially you're just knitting back and forth along these stitches that you have cast on, and you're decreasing as you go, which creates this spine up the middle and forms a corner up here, so thus a mitered square. Now here I actually am starting my second square, and when I was done with this one, I cut my yarn and wove in my edge so you don't see any edges. And then the second square, I picked up 18 stitches down the side of my first square. I picked up my 19th stitch in the corner, and I picked up my 18 stitches all the way over to my next marker. Okay, and now that I've got my 18, 1, and 18, I'm going to start to work back and forth on this work until it forms a square up here in the on this upper left side, and I'll finish that off. And then you'll do 2 more on this side just like it. So I've got them already pre-marked out so that I know where I'm going. And if you find, hey, I have an extra stitch somewhere, don't worry, you can skip a stitch in picking up stitches. You're working within the confines of the marker, picking up the appropriate number of stitches. And then once you're done with that side, you'll just turn it over and you'll start what we did. So we have the other side marked as well, and I just started picking up those, and you'll do that side, and you'll have a total of 8 mitered squares on each side. So I will I'm going to post another YouTube video showing a mitered square that's not attached to anything, that will help you just see it in general, and that way if you have any questions you can look at that first and kind of go over it. Some people have issue with it, and some people just think it's easy peasy. So, but remember, we're going to be talking in another 30-40 minutes or so on our Zoom meeting, and we can talk about it then if anyone has any problem. In the meantime, if it makes sense to you, please cast on your 18 stitches, put your 19th into the corner and pick up 18 more, and start knitting, because you will have the written instruction by the time, well, certainly by Saturday morning. So I was going to say now, but it's Wednesday. I'm not there yet. Anyway, ladies, I'll be in touch soon, or we'll be talking soon. I look forward to our Zoom meeting. That's another first for me. All right, ladies, thank you.